This episode of the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop features a key hutch with hand-carved ornamentation.
The Appalachian Heritage Woodshop is brought to you by Christian Internet Services, common sense internet marketing and web design. Our internet marketing commissions are based on results. Robinson and McElwee, thinking business, practicing law. Waterlock's unique tung oil and resin blend stains, sealers, and finishes. The go-to finish for wood enthusiasts since 1910.
The Appalachian area is comprised of 13 eastern states covering 205,000 square miles of rugged, mountainous terrain. It stretches from New York to Mississippi, with West Virginia being the only state totally encased in the area. When this region was first settled, the immigrants had to travel over the Appalachian mountain range with only what they could carry or haul by wagons. They would make furniture and other wooden items that were necessary and functional.
Appalachian pioneers seemed to have locks on everything from doors to cabinets, but they kept the keys handy in a key hutch.
This is Jerill Vance with the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. Today I'm coming from Beckley, West Virginia. I'm at the Wildwood House Museum. I'm here with Scott Worley. We're in the kitchen, which was built in about 1860s.
About 1860, when this addition was added onto the building.
Okay, and the original house was
built in 1836.
1836. And the family that lived here, the town is named after them?
It's General Alfred Beckley. The town is named after the Beckley family.
So this was an affluent estate in that time?
Yes, it was. It was actually comprised of 904 3/4 acres.
Wow.
Estate had people who lived here, worked here, tenant farmers, wood craftsmen.
Yes, yeah. And I notice here in the kitchen on the wall is a nice little key cabinet. What do you know about this key cabinet?
Well, the family always called this the key hutch.
Key hutch, that's interesting.
It's made of poplar, has a wonderful Gothic window design carved into it.
I noticed that as hand carved. That's a very nice carving piece.
This would have been used to keep the keys to all of the different buildings here on the estate. We would have, you had your barns and there was a post office here. We had a general store here. So this would have kept the master keys to all the buildings inside here.
And I notice also that the keys that you all have in here are the skeleton keys, which is the type of keys they would have had.
Correct.
Back in that time.
Yeah, all the locks that are currently on the doors are original skeleton locks.
Now this building, this estate, this is where it was actually built. It has not been removed and reconstructed.
Correct. It's in its original location here.
Yeah, and a lot of the furnishings are original.
A great number of furnishings are original to the house.
And some of the furnishings here were built on the property.
Yes, several of the furnishings were built on the property. He had a joiner and a carpenter who were tenants of his.
Yeah, and it shows in some of the fine furnishings here in this place. This is a nice piece here. I really like this. So let's go back to the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop and I'll show you how to construct a key hutch very similar to this one. It doesn't matter if you're using hand tools or machinery in your shop. You need to know the safe way to operate your equipment. Make certain you have the proper safety equipment and most importantly, use your PPE. Be safe and enjoy your shop time. I'm going to use this buckeye to make a key hutch. Key hutch was a small cabinet that hung on the wall where an estate would keep all of the keys to open any of the locks on the estate. So the first thing I need to do is cross cut this. Then I need to run it across the joiner, the face joint one side, run it through the planer to plane the right thickness, and then I need to resaw it. I've already cross cut the board. Now I'm going to rip it. That'll make it easier to face joint and easier to resaw the boards. Okay, now I've got the joiner set up. I've got the fence scoot way over, and I'm ready to face joint. I want to check the grain, make sure I'm going the right direction. Okay, now I'm ready to plane the buckeye. I need to set the depth on my planer. So I need to check the existing thickness. Looks like about 1 3/8 inches. Okay, now I'm ready to resaw this buckeye. I've got my fence set up. I've got the guard set at the right height. My dust collection is open. Now I want to run these through the planer to remove the saw marks from the bandsaw. The door is thicker than the rest of the parts, so I'm going to plane it first. Now I'm ready to cross cut the pieces to the correct length. The first piece I'm going to cut is the back. Okay, now I've measured for the door and adjusted my stop, so I'm ready to cut the door. Okay, now I'm going to take the sides and I'm going to rip them to give me the correct number of sides. Okay, now I'm ready to run the wood through my drum sander. This project has 2 different thicknesses. The door is thicker than the rest of the material, so I'm going to run the doors through the drum sander first. Now I'm going to put the sides through, and they're quite a bit thinner, so I need to readjust the thickness. And I like to feed it through and lower it until I hear it sanding. Right there. Okay, now I'm ready to do some joinery, and the first thing I'm going to do is cut a groove on the back. The sides will set into the groove. So I'm going to do that here at the table saw with a dado blade. Now, as you can see, I deliberately dimensioned the doors slightly bigger than I needed. Now that I've got the joinery done for the sides, I can get the door ripped to be an exact fit. Okay, now that I've cut the door to the proper width, now I need to cut the bottom and the top, and I'm going to rip it out of this wood. So I've got it marked. Okay, now that I've got them ripped to the right width, now I need to cut the right length. So there's the bottom and the top. Now it looks like I'm ready to assemble this, but I'm not. What I want to do before I glue the sides and the top and bottom in place, I want to shape the bottom and the top of the back. And in order to do that, I make a little template out of a piece of cardboard, and I like to do it a half at a time. I use a French curve and a set of dividers or a compass. And then once I get it shaped the way I want, I just cut it out with a pair of scissors. And that makes it easy to trace both sides so that it is symmetrical. So there's the template for the top. I put it in position. And now I can flip it over and do the other side just as easy. That way it'll be symmetrical. So there's the bottom. I need to cut that off. And here's the top. I need to cut this off. So I'll do that at the bandsaw, then it'll be ready to assemble. The bandsaw is the ideal machine to cut the contours at the top and the bottom of the back of the key hutch. Now I'm here at the oscillating spindle sander and a small belt sander, so I'm going to smooth out these contours. There you have it. Okay, the key hutch fits together real nice. So now I'm ready to put a little bit of glue in it. I'm just using some regular PVA glue. It really doesn't take much to hold this. Just a little bit of glue and some brads to hold the top in place. Just align it and shoot it. It goes real quick. Same process for the bottom. A little bit of glue, set it in place, align it, and then nail it with a brad gun. The lid fits onto the key hutch. The original had a rabbet joint all the way around, which gave the appearance that the lid was not as thick as it is. And I like that feature. The lid needs to be thick to keep it from warping, so I'm going to do what the original was and put a rabbet joint all the way around. Now you can see how much thinner it looks. Now I want to install some hinges, and I have some very small hinges here. I've marked up 2 inches from the bottom and down 2 inches from the top. I'm using a Vicks bit to center this. If the screws are longer, you can either get a shorter screw or adjust the depth of the rabbet you just made all the way around the lid. Now I need to just mount the door. Got some double-sided tape, which I put on the back side, the bottom side of the hinge. When you have something this small, it doesn't take a whole lot to hold it in place. So now it's easy to drill it. So there you have it. So now I need to turn a little knob to put on it, and I'm going to do that over at the lathe. Now I have a piece of cherry. It's actually a cherry dowel rod put into a Jacob's chuck on the lathe, and then the tailstock is brought up to keep it from wobbling. I want to turn the tenon. Okay, now I've got my tenon turned. Now I just want to shape the small knob. Now, as you can see, I've taken the hardware off of the door on the key hutch. I'm going to set the key hutch aside. The original had a Gothic window on it. I didn't like that, so I just drew a very simple little flower. I like to have it on a good, solid surface. And remember, these lines are only suggestions or estimates. So I try to find the chisel that is closest to the shape I need. Okay, so now that I've defined the center of the flower, now I'm just going to go around and accentuate it. This is part of the reason why I chose buckeye for this. Buckeye is a real nice wood to carve. The palm of your hand rests on the wood and you move that way. That way you maintain control the whole time. And this V groove gouge is going to go right up the stalk. And remember, the line is just a suggestion. I want to be as close to it as I can. But if I get off of it a little bit, it's no big deal. Now you can see how this buckeye carves so easy. If you don't have buckeye, you can use poplar, basswood. There's a lot of different woods you can use. And I personally like seeing the tool marks. I think it shows that it has been hand carved. Okay, now I'm going to go with the smaller one. And I'm going to do this leaf right here. Again, all I want to do is come close to following the line. Now I need to just pronounce it a little bit more, go a little bit deeper. And there you have the leaf. The thing to remember in nature, leaves, flowers, petals, none of those are perfect. So your carving doesn't need to be perfect to represent the flower. Now I want to do the petals of the flower. A dull tool is more dangerous than a sharp tool, so you've got to maintain your edges very sharp in order to carve. Chisels aren't sharp, then you end up applying too much pressure and then you end up not having control. Again, you need to maintain the heel or palm of your hand on contact with the surface and then pivot your hand to make the cut. It's real easy that way. You can tell the difference when you're going across the grain and when you're going with the grain. You can very quickly learn how to carve this type of carving. It's very simple, easy, and it's also very relaxing. It's a lot of fun. just need to take your time and clean up all the little fibers. Remember, the tool marks show that it was hand carved, so a little bit of irregularities are okay. Just take your time, go slow, and make sure your tools are sharp. One of the options on a carving like this is to apply some paint or some color down into relief cuts. But on this, I prefer not to do that. I'll be putting a stain on this, which will accentuate the carving. But a little bit of color is an option. The petals of the flower are very easy to do with the V gouge. It just takes a little bit of time, but it's easy to do. I like to see the tool marks there, so I'm deliberately going to put some right here in the center. I think it adds a little bit. Now I'm going to apply a gel stain that will accentuate the carving, and for that I'm just using a rag. Of course, I've got gloves on, but this will make the carving stand out a little bit more, which is what I want. And here's a little tip. I got a little toothbrush here I can use to get down inside the carving real easy. Make sure get a good even coat. Now the good thing about a gel stain, it's very consistent in color. It's not like a oil-based stain. Of course, the end grain soaks it up more than the long grain does, so you got to take your time, get the end grain real good. And you always want to go with the grain. Now I want to take a clean rag and go over it, make sure I don't have any blobs anywhere. There's the door. Now, gel stain, just like any stain, except water base. You should have good ventilation. I've got the front door and the back door open. So I got a nice little cross breeze going here, which helps a lot. Now after this, I'll install the key mounts, wee little hooks that you put the key on. Here's the completed key hutch. Although this was a small project, it was a fun project and had a lot of features. The nice hand-carved front, the small turn cherry knob, it has the magnet latch, and of course the key hooks. I hope you enjoyed this project as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. If you're interested in any information or plans on any of the items featured on the Appalachian Heritage Woodshop, just check out our website, AppalachianHeritageWoodshop.com. Remember, be proud of your Appalachian heritage.